Hello, hello, lads and gents, and welcome to Talent League Season 11. Today, we're going to be checking out some special matches, just a bit of a warmer up, because tomorrow, or if scheduled, in the future, there's going to be a bit of a grand finale coming up next. But before we get into it, we need to see Pannuhuone face off against INF Esports. And before we get to the maps, to the operators, the boring stuff, we got to introduce who we are first. And of course, I'm Buffa Bob, joined by Golu. And Golu, would you mind leading us through the map bands today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can first of all see this is obviously that third place game. There's still a lot on the line. Obviously, we have bronze medals for a reason. They're important to us. And where are you going to end up? Well, we're getting later in the season, which means we start to see a couple more of those interesting maps slip through the veto. The first pick coming in from Pannuhuone is going to be Skyscraper, which I'm really happy to see. I'm a big fan of Skyscraper. And it's one of these maps that you don't get to see tested a whole lot throughout the season, so making sure that both of these teams are going to be ready for it, especially with the INFs, whose opening bans came out onto Consulate and Cafe, maps that they've been very favourable to get rid of early on. It leaves that opening for them. The rest of our veto looks pretty standard though, Bob, right? It's going to be the clubhouse second. That's what INF want to take us to. And then finally, obviously, seeing it off with the chalet. The interesting thing to note here is that obviously INF coming in from our Challengers division, not the Masters division like Pannuhuone. So they did come top of that group, but we saw in yesterday's semi-final, they did get taken down quite heavily, went up against some of these stronger teams from the Masters. So how does that sort of set themselves up for tonight's game? It's going to be interesting. I think Skyscraper coming through will be a real test for them right out the gate. But if they can hit the clubhouse, if they can hit the chalet, some of those more favorable or comfortable maps, that's where the opportunity for upset starts to creep on in.
Most definitely, but we're gonna have to see how they fare against yesterday. Maybe they actually took a bit of a lesson, a bit of a beating, and they're ready for round number two against Pannuhuone. Now, of course, it is Skyscraper. You said it. It's not something we see too commonly. It's not the clubhouse chalet we'll be seeing later on, if of course we get to the decider. But this is a bit more experimental. We get it. And sadly, the operator fans won't be looking anything special. Starting it off with the Yingets comment. Come on, you know why she's always completely taken off. But hopefully, we're not going to be seeing any Dokkaebi. Maybe a bit of a Monty pick. Maybe a bit of, on the defensive side, a bit of Valkyrie, a bit of, the common, the same old, same old. I'm not expecting anything less because these two, we are going to be playing a bit more safely. There is the Dokkaebi ban. And now going on to defense. Any predictions, Golu?
I think you're looking at sort of your usual spread of suspects, things like Fenrir's, Horizami's Malusi now as well, been very oppressive, and teams have started taking her off the table. There's that Valkyrie that you mentioned, and again, a lot of soft floor available on Skyscraper, as well as lots of little nooks and crannies that you can hide those black eyes in, make them quite awkward to find. And IQ's certainly more viable than she has been in previous metas, and there's not too much of utility to clear through these days. I mean, obviously, Azami is a whole mess, but there's space in lineups now. You can find that wiggle room. The last band coming out from INF is going to be that Clash. I'm a Shield enjoyer. I'm sad to see the Clash taken away. But I think Skyscraper is one of those maps where it can be really, really powerful. We often talk about how influential the choke points on this map are. Right? How quickly do you get tied up in doorways? Think of trying to cross into Drum from Terrace. Think of trying to walk up Shrine Steps when attacking on towards Tea Room. Even around Black Stairs, right? It's all short, narrow corridors and quick doors. You're going to
Defenders,
get caught
protect
up,
your
you're going
bombs
to get
from being
zapped down,
defused
so
by
removing that
attackers.
Clash to slow you, a big pick. I like it.
Most definitely clashes out of the ordinary, but at the same time can be quite a strong pick, especially on this map when things do tend to be one-sided. But let's actually move on to what we're currently seeing. As for the attackers, I'll leave that lineup for a bit later. They can still switch it out, are in the process of it. But on the defense, we're using everything we've got. Not probably, maybe, but probably not sticking to the usual strategy. Pulling out that Azami and Fenrir, really just using the strongest of the
10 seconds
strongest,
left
the
before
top
insertion.
four operators, while they're still available. If you have them, use them, because
seconds.
why not? They're strong. The Fenrir, the amount of intel he denies, the amount of gunfights he can completely
Attackers must
switch around,
locate and
get that
defuse the
swing
bomb.
in. And for the Azami, do I even need to say it? Do I need to say why she is extremely strong? Now the Jaeger is going to be interesting, seeing as Grim also has been popping up quite a bunch. Could be possibly a good pick, but starting it off very aggressively. INF already showing a bit of signs of those runouts that we could be seeing maybe be successful or completely punished in the later rounds.
Early pressure trying to clear Legion out from behind the table. Half this wall being left soft, but an ADS catches the first flashbang. Second goes through, but it's just in time for the cross to come across. Gets away towards the minibar inside a lounge. Single panel is going to be ripped open behind them, shot in the back. First kill goes in favor of Pannuhuone. They get the opener and start to peel away. You can see the silhouette of the Jaeger running back towards Shrine to join the rest of the team, but that's been split out by a drone as well, Pablo. So, this early control has been established for Pannu. They've got an early pick, a valuable pick, but you still got all this utility set up around Drum, around Shrine, so they can still play for the clock to try and claw back an advantage.
And they're going to be going an orderly fashion about it. They're going to be not going around it, or they're going to break simply through. They're going to use whatever utility they have to go through the defense themselves. So not necessarily going for Geisha, not going for anything. Like I said earlier, this is a bit more one-sided, and that's exactly what it's seemingly to be. A good shot from the Azami does manage to make its way through, but an instant refrag from Nike. A good one at that, taking out the two operators that have rechargeable abilities on the defensive side. As long with that, you're going to be taking out the plant diffuser, or should I say, the smoke in the situation, as E2 gets himself one more, brought down to a 4v5 spot.
In spite of getting that kill back to 4 versus 4, two more quickly falling apart has left them in quite an awkward position here. I like the forward placement from Fenrir, hiding away. Hasn't been droned out as well, so he has to be really careful around this corner because you might find yourself falling if you walk up just a little too aggressively. Pair that with the Shrine as well, still an FNAT active above it. Although they are obviously down to 2 players, but there's plenty of util for them to play around to try and bring this round back.
Definitely Lumen being a prime example of it, as Nike is going to be getting his third, and meanwhile Lumen just lurking around. He gets himself a beautiful double. That MP7 in hand is going to be dealing quite a blow, leaving down to the Thatcher and the Ace, the Heartbreach duelists. But it is a 1v2. The plant is going to be going down, trying to find the pick onto the Ace. He doesn't know where he is, but the information is gathered purely by shooting his bullets, and now we're in post-plant. Seeming pings are going to be very valuable for this Fenrir, but he needs to find his picks. He does not have any other utility besides his gun and gun alone. Maybe a bit of intel from his helpful teammates, but Nappy sweeps it away and finishes the first round for the attack, and that was stunning because of how quickly they went through it and how, in general, one-sided it was, but still, Pannuhuone managed to completely swipe it through.
And it's a shame as well, right? Because you're looking at that 2 versus 4, and they were kind of set up decently well to try and pull back some sort of comeback play. But they couldn't quite make it work. Obviously, the Jaeger getting caught off, trying to hold down Drum Door to make sure the butt doesn't slip in towards sight, while the backside is being watched by the Fenrir. It's unfortunate how that timing led to that opening pick, and from the 1 versus 4, a valiant effort, but ultimately really cleanly done from Pannu, who, again, got in early, made their presence known around the road, collapsed for that opening pick, and once they got it, you saw how quickly INF were forced to back away because of the spread that they'd established. Really nice start to the game for Pannu. You can see why that's what they chose to bring us to. They wanted to play Skyscraper, they've come in with a clear game plan, and in round 1, they've been able to execute that perfectly.
10 seconds left.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm getting a headache. Oh, Lumen! You're rocking a Bush, G, and it's barely round 2. You started it off with a goddamn run out with Legion, and now you're going for the Slug shotgun. Absolute insanity we're seeing here, Golo. This is completely off the racks. I mean, Pannuhuone, they had a good start. Of course, first round, I mean, it's perfect. But INF, you lost the round and you're still going this aggressive. What's the idea here? Are you just trying to throw yourselves at the opponents? Because, of course, sometimes, you know, bringing the fight to the attackers does work. But that's only sometimes. It's not always. And here it is. The exact same Legion just peeking doors left and right. He's trying to get early picks, which, of course, in thought, isn't necessarily a bad idea. But when executed, can be quite dangerous and very easily be punishable.
Setting up for another run out as well. Lumen not going to give up any space downstairs early on into this round. Again, patience coming out from Pannu though, right? They're aware there's plenty of roam, plenty of aggression coming out from INF. They just want to wait it out for the first minute of the round, and that's all done. Ripping open the floor now as well. Again, playing to clear out this extension as best as possible. Interesting angle coming through with a flashbang to try and help out below. That's a pretty cool angle. still a player upstairs above,
Attackers
though.
dropped the
And
diffuser.
Pannu are very quickly going to lose nearly 3 members. Nomad's left at, what, 3 HP?
Yeah, not going into any gunfight confident with that 3 looking right next to the slash and 110. That's quite a big margin. But Nike's is going to be returning a bit of the fire. Poor Lumen, he tried to bring out Baji, a bit of the memes, a bit of comedy. Doesn't hurt anyone besides the Vigil player. As JFK joins along, 2v4 brought onto the side of Pannuhuone. Now they're completely in a tough spot like INF was earlier, but Knife does manage to pick one himself. Santi around the corner gets the head, and the second one from the bandit, or my mistake, the MP7 does really confuse me at times. It's gonna be the Fenrir, it's gonna be Hunter, and finishing yet another beautiful round, but this one won't be Pannuhuone's, but INF's instead.
And a much better job, right? That early pressure, spreading themselves around in the middle floor. Pannu tried to contest it. They tried to walk up. They tried to take these gunfights. Didn't work. Didn't work for them in the slightest. They just lost 3 members, effectively 3 members, immediately. And like, yeah, sure, 3 HP, you still
Defenders,
have a
protect your
gun, you
bombs
still
from being
headshot people,
defused
but
by
we saw how
attackers.
quickly Nomad died the moment anyone glanced in her direction, right? So, really good job by INF to make better use of the space that Skyscraper affords you this time. But on Pannu's side of things, why did we change up the game plan, right? I understand if you go, okay, we did a full clear this time, and it worked out, and they're running back the site, so this time let's go for another good attack. If you're not going to go for another fundamental, that's either putting pressure around Geisha and playing for that and then carrying this window, or playing around primarily right stairs, the restaurant down below, and using the shrine balcony to try and push in the top of Black as well.
5 seconds left.
Both of those would have made sense to me. But instead, we're just, walking in downstairs,
Attackers are
looking
moving
for
out to
one-on-one
locate a bomb and
gunfights.
defuse it.
That has 0 replication for the success from round 1.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some sort of mind game behind that. Maybe they think they're gonna do the same. Maybe some adaptation will come from the enemy team. So if we adapt ahead, no, just keep it simple. If it works, don't break it. That's how it's always set. But INF, you know, they won the round, and Lumen even did rock that Baji once, got away with a round, and he's on it again. I'm honestly just terrified of what's gonna come of this, because if he gets away with even 1 kill, I might as well bust out screaming. He's ready for it. He's waiting around the corner, playing very aggressively, but again, starts to get punished quite heavily. He's around the window, and oh my god, doesn't get spotted in time! Unfortunate angle from the Lion, and he won't be getting the Vigil, as the Vigil's just gonna be running away scot-free.
That's criminal from E2. You've got to be holding that angle better. They're doing exactly what you need to do. They're flushing the kill into you. That outrageous. You don't get the opening pick there. And you know, if Lumen's able to come back in and cause some havoc later in the round, you're really going to feel that mistake.
My god. Definitely can be a bit of a backstab when the Vigil does try to go for a bit of a flank late in the round, and you just think to yourself, what if I just repelled a bit higher? What if I just held it a bit differently? What if I played a bit more aggressive? Whatever the case, it's done now, and you can't go back in time. We can only see what happens in the current. So, with the 5v5 still on hand, not much action, but these players, they're making progress. They're trying to breach the dragon, trying to make their way through, but really focusing on any type of lurkers or any type of utility they still haven't gotten rid of. Just like Lumen, Nev is going to be finishing the job. Since he too couldn't do it, he said, you know what, I'm going to take it into my own hands, as the breach will slowly get opened up.
Main breach opened on up as well now. Still the single wall to that safety net to JFK to play around the minibar. Maybe you want to try and play that extra traffic on the left-hand side. You can open it at the same time, but maybe he's still able to get the kill on the mirror anyway. He's been tested in towards the breach. 40 seconds left on the clock as they're looking to try and push their way on in, but a sneaky move by Hunter gets behind the bomb chassis.
Attackers have recovered.
Good opening pick, trying to find a thermite, and so he does. Good one from Legion. He's trying to advance towards it. At 3v3, he's trying to make it a 3v2, and so he does. That's exactly what happened in this case, but the Fenrir goes down. Not a complete trade, though. He is only down, as the TCSG will be taking out Nif, completely leaving the Lion in a 1v1 situation, as 2 are down. It's all down to the Cade. He's holding his angle steady, and he knows he goes for the one tap, and it hits, it lands, and it gets another round for INF.
Really nice shot, but again, a couple small movements not caught out there. Great move by Hunter to get in behind the bomb, to get right up aggressive on that breach, and it completely caught Pannu off guard. Really, really nice to see. But again, Pannu not connecting up with themselves the same way we saw in round 1 where they were successful. Where's this wraparound? Where's this attempt to clear out the room? They eventually get a little bit of pressure on
Attackers
like
need to
terrace,
locate
for
and
example. They
defuse
get
as
that
many
main
bombs
breach
as they
open
can.
up. But they have very little control or pressure to be able to do anything with this new opening. They obviously get the pick onto JFK, which just relies on the mirror deciding to swing into them. Not an ideal way to start and play this round out, right? You normally see teams take a lot more focus in the early rounds.
Bomb located
Even
by
if it
attackers.
means taking a Thatcher, taking a Thermite over onto the other side of the map, over towards Geisha, pushing in with the rest of the team, and then late rotating to play for that breach as well. Because quite frankly, the breach is the most important part of this attack, right? It's having that space around the bomb site, it's
10
going to
seconds
limit
left
the
before
movement
insertion.
of the defense. And INF making use of all the space
5
they were
seconds
left to play
remaining.
with.
I don't know if it's my lucky day, or have I just obtained my favorite competitive player? But Lumen is back on that Banshee, and you know, I necessarily wouldn't call it out so much, but I just love the gun so much. In the end, though, it's the runouts that have been happening quite popularly. Oh, what a shot from JFK! Connects to the target and gets finally an opening run out since the Legion couldn't do it. You know, Capkin, he's definitely the one for the job and takes out the buck. The verticals, you mentioned it, Golu. There's a lot of breakable surfaces, a lot of floor bangs, a lot of verticality on this map, and well, it has been quite limited by just one simple aggressive play.
You see the drones come through, but
The attackers bombed
they'll
the
get
diffuser
shot out
has been
slowly.
dropped.
No one playing
Attackers
actively
recovered the
on
diffuser.
them, so that's all dead information.
Attackers
We're
have
now,
dropped the
again,
bomb diffuser.
saying a little bit of hesitation. Do we shoot a couple of walls over towards Lounge? Now swinging through, but again, this is all going in blind. E2 caught out by the fact that the open wall that's been set up on the VIP does manage to trade out Hunter, but you've lost 2 already in this round. It's not looking great for you coming in as a Cameo fan.
Definitely.
Giving themselves another door on terrace, but still peppering through. Guys, we have drones. Let's find out this information for a fact.
ready.
Try and get it. C4 doesn't connect onto anything. But we're trying to get some other connect. Some 1v1s brought on for Pannuhuone. They're really trying to break through this line of defense, but they need to find some sort of opening, and they can't seem to do so. Strong crossfires from the Vigil. He is going to be contesting one, but do they know about JFK around the corner? Well, Meepy surely knows about Santi as he gets himself the second in the round. A lot of aggression
Attackers
again
have
brought
recovered
on.
their diffuser.
JFK, he's really just trying to find his surroundings, find his set. And he found the pacing. There it is, another kill for himself. A double-double for the side of INF, as it's all brought down onto Juki and Nif. Now they are trying to tag team through this. Find their way, go for it. Go for any type of line. Whatever's going to get them the advantage. But the Bosch G shows itself as we're brought down to a 1v3. The Thatcher, now the info is on the bottom. The SMG-12 switched out, but one from the behind as JFK will be finishing the job, and third round going to INF.
And we're starting to see INF become very comfortable playing here on Skyscraper, right? They're starting to see what space is being left for them to mess around in, and honestly, that's all they need to do. Just keep this sort of unchecked aggression up. We're seeing carelessness from
I just
Pannu
love the
coming in
gun
terms of how
so
they're clearing.
much. In the end, though, it's the runouts that have been happening quite popularly. Oh, what a shot from JFK! Connects to the target and get... All right, we're back.
Lovely, lovely little replay on the run out there. But this is what I mean, right? This aggression's coming out from INF. They're feeling comfortable. They're feeling confident, Puffo. And what do you really have to say to that now, right? Pannu, they're coming through. They're sending in drones. The drone gets shot. And there's absolutely no one else following up on it, right? So what do? Well, now INF, they take away an information tool. They can reset their
10
position.
seconds remaining.
Get ready for another aggressive stance. That's what happened in the last round, right?
5 seconds
JFK,
remaining.
he just sits in the top of VIP and waits there.
Attackers are moving
And
out to
waits
locate
there.
a bomb and defuse it.
Because they don't send a drone through, they don't catch him out. And they completely bypass him, which enables him to get that stab onto Meepy, who went back to the diffuser, which was dropped earlier, because they couldn't bring it into the building with information. It all comes around to them, and INF are playing a perfect game at abusing the misinformation coming in from Pannu's own team.
It's really the ultimate sort of punishment, even with the Vigil on board, whose entire cloak and ability is focused around completely ignoring the drone information. While not, of course, there is the downside of the signal lag on the drone screen, but in the end, it doesn't matter because INF don't even need to use it if it's the ability is, of course, at or if the droning isn't on point. So they need to get something working. Right now, quite a fast way of going through it. They have a lot to take, but they're already quite decently on it. Not much utilities focused around this area, but they're just droning, they're pushing forward, taking what they can. Losing as well some in the process, as Nomad, E2, gets down. Vigil, in the meanwhile, will be, or possibly could be, getting a nice shot, and not completely there. Maybe does take out JFK somehow. But in the meanwhile, he gets down to trade it out. Oh no!
He got wallbanged behind his teammate. That's amazing. The whiff onto the Vigil kills the Capcan through the wall behind him. I'd be salty about that. I'm sure JFK's not very happy, but we get the refrag out, and so you gotta take this.
Oh my god, that is the comedy of Rainbow Six Siege. Poor JFK just wanted, to check his surroundings. Maybe pre-play something, go for those Capcan C4s, whatever he did. Business was completely not booming for him. As poor Vigil did get the trade, but in the end, Meepy didn't get away without any kills of his own. But making a bit of progress. Again, Pannuhuone, they're trying to really break through any type of utility that's brought on, but not much is. It's only these gunfights. And Vigil, Lumen, finds himself a double as he seems to be down. Now Thatcher will be picking up one of his own, but instantly traded out. That's going to be a second kill. Santi, just using whatever type of footholds, headholes, you name it, to disrupt any type of push, as it's mainly focused around the side of T. The Melusi activates itself, and another one gets dropped. A second and a third, as the Bosch G will be finishing the job this time around, but, of course, that will be counting as the down on the buck.
Unfortunate way to end things, and again, really good job by ENF, INF, sorry, not ENF, just eating in the pressure. The Boss G has, in fact, been going absolutely crazy. All the boomstick enthusiasts will be very satisfied with the current performance, I think, from Lumen. I don't think there's much more you could ask for. We've seen some really nice shots as well. I mean, even the kill onto Meepy in that last round. Really, really nice. But Pannu, got one round. If we see this as 2, if we can cross to 2, I think we're suddenly okay with how this round is played out, right? I think that suddenly becomes an acceptable spread. Some would say normal spread. Obviously, this is very defender-sided, so a 5-1 is also not completely out of question. I just would have liked to see it in a slightly different fashion, be a 1-5, if that's what we're playing for. Pannu, you can do more to control your own fate here, and for me, that's what I need to see from them from this last round. Give them that burst of energy, that lifeline, going into the second half, where they can play from arguably an advantage.
To locate a bomb and defuse it.
Yeah. Now, we are going to be seeing a bit of a new addition. The amount of aggression being brought upon them not having the best of abilities to fight back. What's a better way than to bring your good old Monty into the stack? Bring that big shield, that chunky boy, to make sure everything's good and fine, everything's protected, It's just a good pick. Just like the Fenrir, just like the Azami we've been seeing on defense quite a bunch. Take it while you still can. Take it while he's available. Just hoping that the Capcans won't be too much trouble for him as they start making, again, same progression, one more sided, but now taking a good single wall. Now, this is sometimes bandit-tricked, but INF, they're playing aggressively. They're not going off of utility for breach, but more like utility to win their gunfights, and for now, it's been working. I just want to see how Pannuhuone are going to adapt for it. Please, please.
Still looking for these players outside on the repels, but no one presented themselves just yet. A minute on into this round, looking for pressure downstairs below as well. This is nice to see. Careful of Capcans as well, but there is someone tucked in left in the bedroom. The Nitro Shell goes off, but you're about to tangle with the Ash. I don't know if you're going to look check the right side. Hunter's obviously found a pick onto the knife. Okay, he can see the wheel, and maybe dies on the breach as well as things start to really fall apart for Pannu. They tried to go quick, they tried to get aggressive. Nika gets one with the pistol, but immediately traded out again by the boomstick.
By the boomstick and the MP7 as INF 5-1 score going into the half-match split. Now, what just hell broke loose in this amount of time? We had the C4, which didn't necessarily do too much, but in the meanwhile, a kill gets dropped. Then the Ash doesn't spot the chunky Capcan, the Russian to her left, just sprinting at her, full blast, Mach 3. And he gets the pick, then a second one, then a third one, all left down to the Monty. He does trade it out, but you said it, the boomstick. Yet again, it's been quite a deadly weapon throughout the entirety of this game, and it makes its appearance yet for one more round, hopefully going into it later. Now, I'm not sure if this is on the side of Siege, but do I see a Monty with a shot, with a Bosch right now? Am I the only one seeing that?
It's a current bug on the patch where the first half, the loadouts given to each person, well, to the attack is typically the same. It hasn't registered the same thing yet for a lot of them. It seems to only really happen to Shields. Same thing happened to Canadian with the SAS shotgun on Blitz yesterday.
5 seconds.
That was fun to see as well. I mean, that's a buff I'd like to see. I'd get behind that. If Monty, the boss G, he can equip it as his secondary and rock it out with his shield.
Oh my god. Oh, that would be absolutely insane. You know, you put the shield down like a bit of a shield in front of you, like a blank. Maybe install the shield of Monty onto the gun. Blackbeard 2.0, that could be the rework. But instead of him having the scar, you know, he has a Bosch G and a metal plate on around the head. And, you know, Santi right now really wishing to have one of his own. You know, being Blackbeard in this situation would have been perfect for him, as that Amara is not going to be sticking through to see the light of day.
I'm not sure where they fell off, but I imagine it's just Amaru doing double Maru things and dying immediately. A good bandit trick coming in, though, from Young Team. As another trade comes through, still that advantage health for Pannu, but Monty just jumped on in. Come on! Hunter, what are you doing, bro? Completely bonnets the Monty in the back of the head as they're trying to come through for their sweep. They get the kill as well. You'd be looking at a 3v3 with the Monty up as well. But now, you lose it. Still keepers set up inside a drum that are going to cause a couple question marks to come through. Drones deployed in the doorways as well. You're going to have to try and fling them a little bit deeper in if you want that information. Still has a drone available, but not in pocket. Ash lost both of theirs as well. The information available going to be very limited for INF in the rest of this round.
See the Ash taking a bit of a second route downstairs, trying to intercept anything going on downstairs, first floor, you name it. Now, could be a deadly flank coming up, but shots are even deadlier. The SMG, Knight gets one. Challenges the Ash, she's low on HP. Runner, he's trying to find his route, but sadly, with that 44 HP, he's not going to be looking like too good of a match for anybody as of current. 2 bullets, maybe even 1, depending on the gun. Of course, the shotgun is deadly at close range. Could be the end of it. Doesn't spot the Malusi, but gets the pick as it's instantly traded out. And E2 there for it. A double peek isn't going to be expected. And the first defensive round directly over to Pannuhuone's score.
Okay, that's the start. That is the start for Pannu, right? You go 1-5 down, it's still playable. I mean, we saw it, right? We've seen it time and time again, specifically on Skyscraper. But it gives you a lot less wiggle room. Lumen rocking that Monty again. Whether it lives to the repick is obviously another question, but considering we saw it in the last round, I'd imagine it will be staying. Again, like how I talked about at the start of the map with the Clash, Monty, another operator who really excels here because you can force your way through these choke points. Talk about how for the defense, stacking up utility, holding crossfires on them is really, really valuable. Well, Monty completely invalidates that, right? Because you just walk at people and they can't shoot you. So you get through safely. Oh, there's a Banshee slowing me down. I'll just keep walking. Sort of philosophy, right? We've got to find a way to take advantage of that. It is coming off in this round. I think this does make a little bit of
10
sense.
seconds
We
left
talked
before
before
insertion.
about how when attacking into office, you want to have this sweep around the rest of the map.
5 seconds to
And
insertion.
Pannu are clearly recognizing that on their defensive end, right? They're putting barbed wire on restaurant
Attackers
staircases.
are
They're
moving out to
barricading
locate a bomb.
off doorways over towards T. They're reinforcing up karaoke as well to highlight that they want to make their stand inside a geisha and do so pretty safely. Force utility to be invested very early on by INF on the wrong side of the map if they want to contest it. The response from INF is a much more direct approach towards the site. Spawn kill coming down from the doorway below. They're going to trade kills out. You lose the Nomad for the Melusi, but all of the Melusi's utility has been placed down already. I think that's actually a pretty good trade for Pannu here.
Most definitely, especially if they're going to be going for any downstairs plays, any type of flank, it's going to be very deadly to go up against without that Nomad who was, the essential part of the plan. Now, INF, earlier they were rocking that aggression all the way through. Now they're going Breach Haven. They're really trying to get as much angles, as much gunfights for themselves as possible, and that's exactly what they're going to be getting to JFK. The second one directly onto poor Juki. The bandit not going to be tricking, but getting tricked. On the other hand, tries to go for the trick, but the Maverick line isn't to be expected, and he gets killed directly from it. Now, in the meanwhile, an advantage for INF. Going in quite strong at the very start, even trading out the Nomad for the Melusi. Of course, not the best of trades, but in the end, a kill's a kill. And at this point, they could be going for an entire refrag game.
Trying to open up this wall now. It has been left soft,
Attackers recovered the
interestingly,
bomb
so
diffuser.
it shouldn't be too difficult to do. But you look at the lineup, what, 3 charges from the Thatcher that can be used to finally get it opened on up. Again, another aggressive play. It was Hunter last time. On the flip side, it's going to be Nikke. E2 gets a kill onto the Thatcher as well, walking up the terrace doorway, and now just patiently waiting for the next member of INF to walk up to the
Using it against them, E2 is going to be getting onto Shanty. Now, the Maverick is suspecting something, but does he know where? Yes, he does. Waiting for Nick Ass to get 2v2 brought on, and now they're in sight. Slowly pushing through. Warden could be in a dangerous position, but doesn't matter. Nif comes around the corner, gets one, and gets the second. And that main breach was the bane of the side of INF right there. They tried opening it up, and so they did, but in the end, it gave more opportunities for the defenders to play against you. Limited it and isolated the Thatcher to that one door, unless he wanted to walk into guns. And same goes for the one on Rappel and the one walking into sight. Poor Maverick couldn't even handle it, as 3-5 is brought up on us.
Yeah, another sort of round where I'm thinking that's a pretty fair way for it to play out.
Defenders protect
Good
your
early
bombs
aggression,
from
good
being
tempo
defused
from
by
Pannu.
attackers.
They lost a member obviously to that Maverick trick, opening up a bit of the wall with the gun peeking through it, looking for that pick. Nice little set play by INF to try and set themselves up, especially when considering that we saw, well, we've seen how powerful bandit tricking can be at slowing you down. Already in the first round, it came in and stopped them from opening up that single wall when trying to play for a bit of a rope clear. So I'd like seeing these adaptations come through, recognizing what
Bomb
happened
located
last
by
time and
attackers.
how they can try and conquer that. I'm gonna have a rehost though, because we've had a couple issues with server connections and whatnot. It happens to the best of us. A little bit out of our control, but so far, a really interesting game in terms of how it's played out, right? We're obviously looking at 5-3, INF on the up and up. All of those rounds picked up on their defensive half, though, and so far unable to string an attack together.
Kind of similar to how Pannuhuone have been handling it. On their attacks, 5-1 could be completely switched around. It's very possible. You said it. A 5-1 isn't something of a disaster as it would be on Chalet, Clubhouse, Oregon. This is a defender-sided map, and usually 2-4 is the score you want to go with as defense. 5-1 is major. 6-0, dangerous, but not completely impossible. But before we get back into the match, before we get into it, we are going to be going for a bit of a break. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with you. And we're back. A bit of a wait, but it's never a wait for these players as they're starting to get off strong. Give us a breather, Nike, as he gets an
Attackers recovered
opening
the bomb
pick
diffuser.
onto the poor striker. Now, Smoke takes a bit of damage in
Attackers have
return,
dropped the
but
bomb diffuser.
doesn't matter as a double kill pops out of nowhere, making it a triple for Pannuhuone to completely wipe out the Finca, the striker, the blitz, and just to add the fourth, just to leave it in a flawless, a double kill again dropped, and the leave from JFK as absolute chaos ensues. Golu, save me, hold me by my hand. I am a lost toddler in a Walmart.
Well, we came back sort of mid-action, mid-action, and a little bit of an aggressive one. Already trying to kill each other around the bomb site. Makes a lot of sense. It's going to happen. You saw from the lineup, Blitz and Finker very clearly indicating quite an aggressive round coming through. Although I think you can use Blitz more as a sort of like frontline leader, a Reinhardt-esque figure for anyone who's played enough Overwatch, but ultimately that doesn't really seem to happen. That doesn't happen too often, right? Like normally that'd be like the responsibility of like a Monty to be your sort of leading presence from the front. The Blitz is like, I'm in, I'm all amongst it. Let's have a funky time and try and cause some havoc. Yeah, I mean ultimately again another round going over to Panu on their defensive end of things, and that's what's to be expected, to be honest.
Yeah, most definitely. The operator pick of the Blitz, it's kind of just a faster Monty. Seeing as pushes were always fast, they always like going about it instantly. Break the door, break the breach, just go in. And with the Blitz, it makes it a bit easier, although the Monty, of course, is a bit more safe of a pick. But seeing the operator lineup, I mean, we have the Ash, we have the Finka, we have the Blitz, you name it. It's a complete rush strategy, and completely it was shut down. So a bit of an unfortunate turn of events as the Flawless does make its way around the corner after a couple of rounds. And, defense going to be keeping up another round for themselves, the third one in a row, I do believe, as of course, 4-5 brought on. Now, getting closer to that equalizer is a bit dangerous for INF. You got that 5-1 head start. Even though attack is, of course, you're in a worse situation, it's understandable, but make what you can of it. Don't let your enemies completely take over and return
Yeah.
the 5-1 onto you.
I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is that you do start with a 5-1 up. So you do have that wiggle room, but now you're seeing it already. 4 rounds picked up very quickly for Panu. Obviously 3 defenses in a row. You get another swing of the whole cycle now. And I mean, look, Barbecue Kitchen, it's certainly not as easy to take as, tertiary sites on other maps, which sort of in part leads to the dominance of defense here on Skyscraper, but we're going to be having some sort of sign of life come from them. And there's been a couple of rounds that have come down quite close, but at the end of the day, it always seems to be just something missing in that final little execute for them. And that's a worrying trend to see. If you don't have the ability to close out attacks here, there's always some mistake that gets made, be it, a team kill onto your Monty who's trying to push through and carve out space for you. I mean, in the last round, I say last round, Barbecue was obviously a rush play. They tried to get aggressive. It didn't work out for them. They didn't get a single kill. And to me, that just screams you're not putting your numbers in the right place on a rush play, right? We didn't catch what the early movements in that round were, but you have this ability to move very quickly. You want to move as 5 straight in for your opponent, and they're not doing that very well. They didn't get that opening pick. They didn't manage to find the one guy sat up inside Geisha and jump through the window and pressure him out. These mistakes, right, they're going to add up, and both teams now have looked very comfortable defensively and have grown in confidence as the halves have gone on. But whereas Panu were able to get that round for them on the attack right at the start, which just gives a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of comfort space, we're yet to see what a successful attacking round looks like for INF.
Yeah. Although, overall, we've mentioned it, you've said it right now, this round was a bit risky. Of course, especially going in after a bit of a break. Now, of course, it isn't necessarily completely close-minded. It's a strategy on its own because, you break in all shrieks. It's basically to the beginning, you know your enemies, they do you, but in the end, it's like the break does reset the tempo just a tiny bit, and a rush is very unexpected from both teams. But when you open these large holes for your enemies to completely just go through and shut down the entire strategy, what are you to do besides go down? And of course, throughout the entirety of this match, we've been seeing things like these, but of course, it was always a bit more on the defensive because, of course, it's defensive or the defense that have a bit of a advantage playing at their own house. It's the home and the guests. But Golo, are we going to be sending it to another break?
Don't know. It's up to you.
It's up to me.
Yeah, you're
Honestly,
cool,
I
mate.
I think for now we haven't spoken. Honestly, I would, but we've seen a lot of break. We've seen a lot of it,
Hmm.
and I think it still leaves some room for us to actually talk about what happened up until now, rather than in the break and the one round that just went by.
Sounds lovely. Do you want a word for word reenactment of the last half an hour? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That seems absurd. That seems a bit over the top. I mean, it's been good fun. I've enjoyed that with Seed Skyscraper. Obviously, this is a best of 3. For anyone who's tuned in since the start, since our last little desky bit, as the official term for them is now desky bits. Obviously, we got 2 more maps potentially to come later this evening. The next one up is going to be your skyscraper. Sorry, this is Skyscraper map number 1.
Mhm.
Map number 2 is going to be Clubhouse, and then map number 3 is going to be Chalet to end things off. So, I was expecting this coming in, right? Pannu, they're the team that picked Skyscraper. They're the team that are coming in with this as their favored ground. Does that mean there's going to be an advantage here? And as the sort of only non-traditional or non-default map in our pool for this evening, I thought that was going to give them a big advantage. But coming in, that hasn't been the case. INF have really sunk into this game in a really compelling manner as well, right? Like we cast our minds back to how they're playing defensively. The first round, bit of a shake-up. They did sort of standard roam. It was dealt with pretty swiftly by Pannu. From second round onwards, they just threw that out, right? They were like, cool, this is the book on how to do it normally. Yeet. Let's instead play how we want to play. Let's turn this map into our space. And that's how you have to play defensively if you want to have that confidence, if you want to be that aggressive decision-making team. And that's been really nice to see from them. But this hasn't correlated at all to their attacking play. We're not seeing this same sort of decisive decision making, this willingness to take rounds into our own hands. And I think for me, that's the weirdest difference. Because I feel like if they carried that into attacks, we'd be looking at a very potent force here. Let's start seeing give them comfortable guns, right? We've seen things like the Ash come through. Let's start walking down. We don't have the Dokkaebi, but let's make use of tools like Lion, ways that we can sort of create this imbalance in opening picks. And I wanted to see them alleviate space off of the bomb site. A lot of their approaches have been, what do we do for the bomb site? How do we open up the wall? How are we going to get Geisha open or something like this, right? Throw that out the window. Start with, let's just get in below, let's cause a bit of havoc. Let's send this round into disarray, because clearly the moment Pannu don't have this structure of how the timeline of the round is supposed to look like, that's where they look most vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for both of these teams, defense it has been really good right now. It has been it's a thing that's been stated multiple times, but the attack, even when starting out on the attack, 1 round, 5-1 score, it's not too bad, but it's poor. It definitely is poor, and it's seeming like it's going to go the same way, which has me scared because then if that's how the case is, if these teams completely play the same way on each other's roles, Clubhouse and Chalet are going to be overtime. It's going to be 7-7, and I expected because if they keep on going at it, defense, if it's more preferred by both of these teams, it's going to be a bit more favorable. A 3-3, 4-2 for whichever it may be. And then it's just going to get transferred overtime, and then it's going to be down to those 2-1 round in the complete overtime, maybe even match point. Whatever the case is, these teams haven't been adapting. They've been necessarily, of course, INF, they've been just hoping they can get a big blunder from Pannuhuone and they can really get that match point in, get that 6-4, you name it, but not actually adapting. Not adapting at all. They've been getting quite swept under the rug as of currently, just like they did to Pannuhuone when they were the ones on defense.
Yeah. It's been interesting to see how that sort of swapped, right? And again, it just goes to say, Skyscraper, it's a map that does lean into that defense favor. You can see why these teams are making advantage of that. But how do you get those 2 rounds, right? With 5-4, if you want to stop that overtime, you need to figure out 2 attacking wins in the last 3 rounds of this game. So it's gonna be difficult. I mean, I've already said my piece on what they need to do here. I think, but it's not the most brilliant for them. I think they can do it. I have faith in INF, and obviously coming in as our challenger division, they obviously represent the little guy here. So it's nice when the little guy can get a little punch up, right? It's like like really tall people. They're a bit annoying. So
What? What type of what beef do you have with tall people now?
no, I don't really have beef with tall people. I do sometimes wonder, like, if you're really tall, does that
Yeah.
like how do you take life seriously? Do you know what I mean? Like,
What?
I'm talking like real tall people here. But like,
Okay,
if you're like
extremely tall.
significantly taller than people around you, like, does everything not just like make you giggle? You're like you'll be like told off at work by your boss who's like 6 inches to a foot shorter than you,
The
and you're just
second
like,
you when you grow up to like 7 feet, you name it, 2 meters, not everything becomes SpongeBob worldish around you. Not everyone gets
is it
a high
not?
tone. No, maybe people are smaller, but no one
Sure,
speaks in a
but
chipmunk
that would be
voice.
even funnier though, right? No, like I'm imagining, right? Let's say you're like 6'5" or like six
Okay,
six, right?
yeah.
And some like 5'10" like big dude with a deep voice like is chatting to you. You're still looking like this at him like the entire time. You're still like staring down like fucking oops, language, like looking down like this the entire time. Like, how are you not gonna like giggle at that? Like, because that's almost even funnier because he sounds so like big and scary, but to you he just looks like a little like cuddly toy down there, and you're like, oh, that's so cute. If I push the arm, does it do a voice line?
Does it do a voice line? Does it have a little
Yes,
string I can pull
yes,
in
the
the
thing on the
back?
I squeeze his hand and he says he loves me.
What wouldn't the roles be reversed? Hold up. What if you're short and someone just absolutely huge is talking down to you? Hey man, how are you doing? It's like a Mickey Mouse talking down to you. Wouldn't that be kind of the roles reversed to some sense?
Okay, so what we're saying is we're setting up this really like big guy who's 5'10" with a really deep voice, and then like 6'8" but has
Six
the
eight.
absolute squeaker of a voice.
The colossal titan
The
talking
real
down to
question is,
you.
who breaks faster though in that situation? Which is the funnier perspective to be in? Looking down and just hearing like, "Oh, my name's Jeff," or looking up and just be like to Mickey Mouse. I don't know.
Oh, how are you doing? Just that would be a good fight, honestly. I think that's a new debate. You know, you have 1 million lions versus all Pokemon. You have all these debates. Is water wet? All those things. What about a short person with a really low voice against a tall person with a Mickey Mouse's tone? Who is going to break first? That's real
That's
questions we need answered here.
the
It's
the
tough.
the billion lions versus all Pokemon one cracks me up every single time. I don't think there's anything funnier because you just like you look at all the reasonings that that people lay out, and it's so funny how angry people get so quickly because it's like I feel like sure, like it's very easy just to say Pokemon because like, and then they'll just go into some like, I'm not Pokemon affiliated. I'm not a lore expert, but people just go like some mega souped up Pokemon. They're like, this one wins by
Yeah.
itself, and then you just see like the lion ladder come out, and you just know it's completely
Oh,
cooked. Like
oh.
nothing, like nothing steps up to the lion ladder.
The
The
line
A Billion
jacket.
Lions versus the Sun's another classic with the
Oh yeah.
that famous interaction. Awesome.
All right.
It has that classic interaction where it's like a billion lions versus the sun. They're like, oh well, they'll just attack it at night, and then it's not gonna, then it's not going to be hot. Iconic. Some old internet is just like so peak. By the way, nothing
It
beats old
is.
internet. But I will drag us out from the old internet nostalgia session in towards our current series. We are coming back into the game. However, the last round is going to be replayed. So it's round 9. We're going back in time. Pannu defending onto Barbecue Kitchen,
Setting the welcome mat.
and we're resetting.
Resetting. No more blitz. No more. Never mind. You know, just take my job, INF, right now. They're taking out the Finka, the Ange. They're taking out the Striker, the Blitz yet again. If it didn't work once, we're going to try again. Put it all on red, boys. We didn't get that round. We're surely getting this one because,
10
you know,
seconds
now
left.
we know where defenders are. Now we know where our mistakes were. And
5
this
seconds
time, they
left.
won't be sticking around for much longer because, you know, second time's the...
Attackers must locate and
You know,
defuse
if
the
you,
bomb.
if
Yeah.
you put a bet on red and then you put a same size bet on black, you only lose 1 out of 37 times.
Look, this is a life hack. I don't know if many people know this. You know what's an infinite money glitch? You can, if you go to the casino, you can lose 100%. You can win thousands of percents. Okay? Do gambling.
True.
Do gambling. It's worth it. It's just math.
Please,
okay?
please always gamble responsibly.
No. Throw it all on red. Throw it all on red. And
The opening pick has come through for INF here, which is what we were talking about wanting to see. As they're able to take down
bomb has
NIF,
been located.
take down the Azami as well, going for a sweep now. They're starting on the opposite side of the map, they're in the wrong place, they're going to cut across and try and deal with you, very clearly spotting out the verticality, and a lovely shot onto Meepy as well. Single on for a double. Now you're looking to carry this advantage across.
poor me, didn't know what was happening. Just saw the forehead and shot directly at it. That's
Attackers
all
have
we
dropped
needed
the
to
bomb.
do. And INF
Attackers recovered the
hit
diffuser.
their shots, especially side of single right now. Now the Blitz is going to be making his approach slowly. Geisha still heavily contested, and that's about it. The entirety of upstairs is then given. Just gotta watch out for those stairs, those verticalities. C4 below could be deadly. Yuki right now carrying one could be a bit of a game changer. Could be a frag for themselves to swipe the tides, to turn them completely all around. Now the Blitz is going to be a bit of a menace, but same couldn't be said for Santi. He gets taken out by E2, and now the same so-called
The attacker's bomb
E2 is
diffuser
trying
has
to
been
apply a bit
dropped.
more upstairs pressure alongside with Juki.
Attackers have recovered.
Back on the vert holes now, again trying to contest in towards Drum. A perfectly timed knife from the Frost takes down the
Attackers
Blitz.
dropped
You do
the
trade it
diffuser.
out, the Maverick hole still a pressure point. But you're down to an effective 2 versus 2 with the Maverick quickly finished off. Fon threatened to go down, did it sound like? But has to sort of take a step back and try and re-figure out what's going on here. No, Diffuser's dropped upstairs. They need to get up and retake it. Finker down below, Frost up above, but Bandit downstairs as well, coming towards Black Stairs to try and lend support for the dying seconds of this round.
Now trying to take it into his own hands, trying to retake that diffuser that's been stolen from them. Flashes are in play. Warden isn't. It's a diffuser, but now he has a Frost to take care of. Looking at 22 HP, he backs up. He gets the Bandit, 1v2, and he wallbacks his
Oh
right!
my.
A beautiful shot for Hunter, as he's going to be getting one more round for INF. And Golu, this is match point time.
That's a Moss check, bro. That is insane.
Must check that man right now.
Just the awareness to go for that. INF, they push themselves onto match point now as well. In the replayed round, oh, there's going to... Check the Discord, boys. There's going to be some salt in the air, but that's a way to do it. You make up the mistake. You get that round
Attackers need to
replayed.
locate and
It
defuse
has to
the
be
bomb.
redone. This is just the rules that we follow in the rulebook. You take every advantage you get. And now INF, we were talking in the break, they've lost the full sweep. That is no longer true. And they showed us they can win the round, Puffo. They showed us how they do it. It's playing confidently for picks. And Hana at the end showed us how to do it twice, including a wallbang. Fantastic for INF, and this is the setup that they need for going into the second half. You're looking at T.
10 seconds.
This is a defender-sided site. This is one where you're comfortable. But now they've cracked the code.
5
They know
seconds
if
to
they
go.
go for this sweep, if they play for the roam, the drone information coming through for them to enable the
objective is to
Monty,
locate a bomb
now
and
it'll be,
defuse it.
to enable the Blitz, now enabling the Monty was really, really good. Making sure they check those tight corners. This could be it.
One round. One round is all INF needs as of current as Pannuhuone. Triple that for yourselves. Going into, which may be repeated, you know the sentence I'm about to say, but the very last round of map 1? Possibly. Right now. Possibly? Not 100%. Depends on these players. How do they want to play about it, and how much mistakes are going to be appearing. Now, slowly making their approach towards site. We see the Nomad this time, not completely taken
A
on in the
bomb has
first
been
very seconds,
located.
going for the verticality, going for a bit more aggression. The Monty. We've spoke about how they don't necessarily want to focus on main, get that utility out of the way and give them the comfortability of guns. They've listened to you, Golu, and now we're going to see how that works out. If it doesn't work out, well, they can blame you for it. But in the meanwhile, Monty's back, and he's just lurking around. He's trying to find a bit of information alongside with a bit of scouting for late game.
Just waiting in the Banshee. Not too much negative can happen to you in that position. Again, that's what we talked about, right? You just stand there, you let it go off, you sort of threaten someone to peek in and challenge you, and now ripping open the floor. Yes, the side wall is reinforced at the back, but they've ripped open the front. They can now walk back in using air jabs to limit movement as well. You've got to be careful of the forward geisha angle, but that's why you have the Ash wrapping around the back, going towards the window. Some support there, maybe something like a frag grenade would have been perfect, but the Ash should be able to get the job done as you just confidently walk back with the distraction going in. No hole set up to try and contest in towards the plant. Pannu, they're on a back foot here. They need to find a way to get this Monty out.
Get the Monty out and get the diffuser in. The Nomad's carrying it, but she's completely, JFK, stuck outside. Ash now on 28. IQ on 60. HP isn't looking too bright, and a lot of pings are showing themselves. The Mute does get attempted and challenged, and there it is. Monty swinging, and he's going to be pushing him into a corner. As in the meanwhile, it's traded out by INF. I could have picked as Buck traded out, and he is himself traded out. IQ gets another. And the Nomad gets a second in the meanwhile, as the Bandit is in a 1v2 against the Monty and the Nomad. Now the Monty, quite a deadly operator, especially even deadlier in a 1v2, but the plant isn't there, and now he can just hold in the corner. The C4 wasted could have been great to counter that Monty, but now it's gone, and the Nomad still looking good for a gunfight. Will just be playing outside, and it's basically round over, unless this Bandit manages to somehow pull off a miracle.
Trying to run around, only 5 HP, but that shield is such a hard thing to break through. Flashbangs flying in from the outside just to make the Bandit's life a misery. And that is going to be map 1. It all falls apart altogether right at the end. The moment they got that first attacking win and they figured out what they were doing, they picked it up for the second round, closing it out on round number 10. Fantastic work from INF to steal away Skyscraper as well. This was Pannu's map pick, Puffo. They've set themselves up for an excellent position to try and close out this series. It's Clubhouse around the corner, and that's where they wanted to go.
Stronghold for themselves, somewhere where they're a bit more familiar with. Clubhouse in the end, every team knows it, so that could be a bit of a factor to help out Pannuhuone. But in the end, INF, they took the first one, and one more is all they need. If they lose Clubhouse, they have a second chance. Pannuhuone, they don't. They lose it, and Chalet's not played. They're finishing, and they're taking the L on this one today. The BO3, we still need to see the second, possibly the decider. Hopefully, both these teams, just might, Pannuhuone, you might be able to get one of these maps, but hopefully, in the end, I'm just honestly hoping we don't get as much rehosts, as much trouble from these teams, and we manage to smoothly make it go by, as we will be going on a short break. So make sure to stay tuned.
Map 1, that's history now. Skyscraper taken away by INF. They pushed themselves onto series point. It's the best of 3, third place game for Talent League Season 11. The Challenger Division underdogs are coming up and currently in the lead. It's their map Clubhouse just around the corner. We'll be jumping into the action very, very shortly, but Puffo coming out of that one, we have thoughts, right? Like the turnaround, they finally figured out their attacks. They got them on the board. They used our Blitz and our Monty to do it. Like, you can't ask for more.
Let's go. They used the Blizz, the Monty, you name it. They went for the aggression, and they went for comfortability, laid back.
Yeah.
Didn't go so serious for that breach that in the end doesn't work out for them. So, heard the almighty words of our lovely angel Golumolu as he rained wisdom down, and it managed to get them the first map. But it's going to be Clubhouse. That's the second. And if INF take it, it's going to be it for today. It all depends on how Pannuhuone want to take it, but I think the game is ready. I think we too are ready, and you should be too, because it is about to be a blast.
I can't lie, right? Coming into this one, I said it myself, like, if INF take this, it's in 3, right? Pannu should come in, look comfortable on Skyscraper. They picked it up, they wanted to play it. INF need to play and win out on our fundamental or more frequent maps, right? Clubhouse coming in, that's one they've picked, they'll have a game plan, and it all comes down to Chalet. But, man, was I wrong. They came in, they absolutely cleaned out house, and Pannu coming in, adjusting things a little bit. That first ban, gonna be the Monty, taking away one of these shields. Obviously strong on Skyscraper, also strong here on Clubhouse, primarily for, looking at CCTV cache. You can push Garage a lot more easily, pushing up rafters, but also on basement. Blitz might come in as a replacement. We've seen that quite a few times and already seen that INF are happy to play and can win with the Blitz as well. But it is certainly a strong ban to indicate Pannu's recognition of that being a threat.
Most definitely. The second one being the Ying. Like earlier, she's common. There is a reason for it, especially on this map. Downstairs, upstairs, anywhere. She's absolutely fantastic with her ability. As heading towards defense, Cade is going to be another very reasonable ban. Of course, downstairs, hatch play. Upstairs, main breach. Even on both upstairs sites, he is an absolute menace alongside with a bit of Tubarão action, a bit of bandit tricking, a bit of whatever, you name it. Cade is the best of the best when it comes on this map. And the second one is going to be the best of the best when it comes to intel. Valkyrie, I mean, oh my goodness. Hide those little cameras, those little eyes, anywhere, and they will be hardly spotted unless an IQ makes her way into the slot. But we're going into round 1. We are going to be seeing a bit of these lineups. Now, expecting going into this, of course, it's CC, it's cash. This is a site primarily focused around the main breach, because the main breach itself reveals so much, the entirety of CCTV. But Pannuhuone, they take absolutely nothing for it, not even a mute. Instead, Meepy is going to be continuing her good old Banshee tradition. And what do you think your take is here, Golo? What do you think the strategy is to play around the open main breach against the attackers, maybe?
I think so. I don't mind it necessarily, right? Because you're coming into this and you're sort of recognizing the breach will get open anyway. They're going to bring tools for it. You're looking at the attacking lineup. They've got the Maverick already, so clearly showing that there's this desire to play to get it open. So saying, look, you're going to bring tools for it. We'll leave it soft, like not soft, but reinforced. You can get it open with just that ace if you wanted to. If you brought a thermite, it would have been more efficient. But we're banking on the fact that there's going to be some sort of decision made around that because of how difficult it is to get drones into a position where they're going to be able to identify exactly what's on it within the prep phase itself. And instead, focusing on, look, you got the Jaeger there. I would have liked to see OMI as well, just to lend support into the Azami, who's going to be playing on rafters. Especially when you consider that Capital's an operator that exists, who's excellent at clearing out rafters. Thankfully not brought here by INF. But an early trade immediately falling in their favor as the Dokkaebi sends out a cool, runs through strip, and catches Meepy off on the Vigil before he can get set into position.
The duo of Dokkaebi and Vigil made their appearance quite a bit of time ago in Siege, but here they're in a versus, and Dokkaebi, Santi, is going to be taking the first opening pick. Now, the Vigil isn't too much of utility gone. The Smoke Azami would have been way better of a pick for INF, so Pannuhuone not looking at too bad of a trade-off, but again, it's guns that you've lost, and that's the primary execute right there. That's going to be a bit of a trouble coming into the late round when you're at a possible man disadvantage. So let's hope they sort of weasel their way through, maybe get some other picks for themselves. As in the meanwhile, the breach is open. Not using the ace is going to be wasting a bit of time on that Maverick. Also a bit of utility, the buck, whatever you name it. But in the meanwhile, a pick is going to be dropped on from INF. Instantly traded out, though, onto the ace. A second one from Nike as he takes out the Dokkaebi, and that's going to be brought down to a 3-3. Almost finds the Maverick, drops a bit of HP, and now in territory of the attackers, seeing as the breach is opened.
Quite tight now for the remaining defenders as well. Still presence inside of rafters though, and that's going to be super valuable for them to try and hold on to. It creates a crossfire. If they want to try and play for this single breach inside of construction, Mavline coming through trying to open up a line of sight, but it's going to be used against them because they turn around away from it. You can't give them such an opportunity. A narrow shot on the head, and second narrow miss as well, deep in the server, and a toxic wave thrown out just to stall for time.
50 seconds slowly counting down. The attackers do run out of options. Very limited, but the main breach is still there. Windows are open, and it's up to them what they're going to use. Guns blazing, one is picked off. That's going to be the corner player, right close. The buck gets one, but do they know about the smoke laying down below? The drone won't be gathering much intel, and there it is. The second one coming in, but just gets past it. The smoke does manage to scoot his way around, and is going to be playing aggressive around these windows. The Ash doesn't know it. He doesn't hit the shots, and he's low on HP, but still 2 canisters in hand. It's down to the last 15 seconds. The Ash has made itself in. The plant is going down, but the smokes just do connect in time, and the Ash won't be sticking it through. A bad stick, a quad kill for Nike as he's looking to get the ace right around the corner. The buck goes in, and an ace for Nike as he gets an amazing use of his utility, but at the same time, that SMG-11 looking dominant throughout the entirety of the round.
Insane.
Insane.
That he's able to pull that off. 2 well-placed toxic babes at the end there, right? One to cut off the breach, one then thrown onto that default plant, and Ash tried to stick it out. You're not at full HP anyway. You're barely a second into the diffuser. Everyone knows you're gonna die.
Attackers need to
It's
locate
15
and
damage
defuse
a
as many
tick.
bombs as they can.
But fair play for trying. It was a bold attempt. Had the plant gone down, that obviously becomes a lot easier to hold in a post plant, but you're probably dying for it as well. So it's like, so it's a hard call to make. So credit for trying, and INF off to a good start, right? They had that initial opening. They found a way to sort of play for a little bit of this breach. The picks fell back against them. They didn't have control of Garage as well, and I think that was quite a substantial part of Pan's defense, right? They really wanted to play for that.
Attackers are
They didn't meet them when they wanted to play the game. And ultimately, really well done by Nike to get the ace, right? Like, I mean, obviously Nike did a phenomenal job. He got an ace.
A very good start to the match from Pannuhuone, especially from Nike. I mean, praising him, but it's all worth it because 5 kills in 1 round by, you can put 1 and 1 together. He did a fantastic job, and at the end, of course, the Ash, you know, said it, Golu, A for effort, but whatever the case is, it was a dumb stick and it didn't work out in any sort of fashion. But it's in the past. Let's see what they're going to do to fix up for that mistake, to make up for it. As a quick roam clear is attempted by INF, just sort of trying to get Garage under control, which they do. But of course, with the amount of clubhouse rotations you can get and the amount of information you constantly need to have over the map, just to not mess yourself up in the late round, it's hard. So you do want to be safe about it, do want to double check your surroundings. And in the meanwhile, Pannuhuone, they're turtling inside. They're playing it safe. Earlier, it was good, unless the Baj, you know, that was a bit of a risky one on the other hand. But whatever the case may be, gunfights, bullets are shot out, none hit, as we're slowly just trying to make our way back inside. As in the meanwhile, a good pick from the Warden, but JFK right there to trade it out that exact same second.
You lose the Warden as well, who can be quite a valuable operator when it comes to an execute. The Bravo drone guiding Dokkaebi down in towards the basement as well, taking away the Banshee, so it's going to make the approach nearly silent, has to get rid of the barbed wire, and immediately just going to go for it. They're watching towards the back, though, so how's this going to work?
Will it work? The Azami trying to maneuver himself around the situation, and that's exactly done. But maybe in the meanwhile, will be holding the angle quite tightly as he takes out Santi. Now 3v4. Pannuhuone looking good, looking very good. 50 seconds, back to that same old situation with the man disadvantage being brought onto INF, repeating the case for the second round in a row. Now they are trying to make their way through verticality, pass on through hatches, and they do that. Enrir is down, but doesn't seem to be completely out. Will be backing off, could be given a second chance, but it's this time that's going to be a bit of a bother going in. The Hibana does drop. She doesn't have the diffuser, but Buck does. He's right behind her. Now trying to get a pick off, trying to get some sort of distraction. He goes for a good splant, but the smokes, again, drop, dealing double damage as Nike is going to be continuing his raid as a 3v1 brought on from nowhere. 3v0 as the smoke canister will be holding the MVP of this round.
And another really good hold by Pannu. Again, letting INF start to spread around them. An early trade, you lose the water, and that's what enabled the ability to throw in utility and drop down to go for this plant. But it was just really well managed by Pannu. They take a step back, they let the util fly off, and then they move in together very swiftly to retake. They're challenging towards main, they're challenging towards hatch, they're pushing in for the planter, all at the same time. And when you have that many bodies being thrown at you, you don't really have a manageable way to contain the situation. 2 rounds in now, both of these look very, very strong for Pannu, as they're starting to create that gap at the start of this game very early on. Yes, they're on defense. CCTV, not the most popular bottom site, you know, not one that you're like guaranteed to win in air quotes as a defender anymore, right? A lot more agency put in the hands of the attack. Basement still very strong. We've seen agency put in the hands of the attack. Teams have shown how they can win rounds by overloading with utility. Kind of doing a great job expecting and dealing with that.
2 rounds in a row definitely showcases it. And INF, you know, you got the previous map very strongly. 7-3 is not a bad score at all. And managing to just slip by with that one attack. But in the end, it's Clubhouse now. It's your map. Showcase that you're not the same. Showcase that you're better on this map. You picked it for a reason. Don't let Pannuhuone get these type of picks as the smoke runs out from Secret. Shotgun in hand. Takes out the IQ. And that's going to be a lot of intel on the details and gadgets. Completely wasted purely because of just one aggressive play. And Pannuhuone now turning the tides, turning the tables onto INF.
You can just feel the confidence coming out from Pannu now, right? We saw the same thing with INF, funnily enough. In the opening half of Skyscraper, they got on that defense, they got a couple rounds into the game, and they started going for bold plays. That's now hitting them on the other side of it. And how are you going to check them in? How do you pin in on these defenders? Opening up the con single wall, but again, so much space for them still to sit in. Cash undisturbed for the time being, as we are getting this server wall open on up. That will alleviate some of the pressure coming in towards the server window, enable you to play onto highway, but you need to keep a body back to watch for it, right? Just having it open isn't going to be a threat. If you leave it open and hope that phantom pressure will keep you safe, Pannu are going to swing you.
Most definitely. If they get the opportunity, they're going to be taking it. But they need to find them yet again. These opportunities were showing themselves on Skyscraper. They were taking them, or they were making them. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing this round. 1 kill from the Thermite, but maybe not around for it. And Nike not liking that duo. Thermite and Thatcher, you know, it should be banned like in old Siege, and he's going to be keeping it off the deck. 6 foot under, 2v5 or 2v4 situation. Maybe even a 1v4, as dropped down to a 3v2 by Santi, who I was going to say shouldn't be too confident going into gunfights, but, you know, he read my mind. He's going to be getting an opening pick for the situation, but 55 seconds. We're looking, again, 3rd time in the match, and this is the 3rd round. 50 seconds, man disadvantage, same situation for INF over and over again.
Peeking through, moving through sight. Nike, you've been on fire so far. Turns away at the wrong second, and Nitrocell, you hear the ripper tape. You got to back away. It doesn't get thrown out, but shooting in towards to try and flush them. Takes a back step. It does get thrown out. It's on the window ledge. Shot away now. One in bathroom, one at the back of sight. The Ash, where are you? You need to start lending some support.
15
Inside
seconds
of
to
the
go.
15 seconds, catches the rotation into Logi, but now just has to walk into sight.
Drop the bomb diffuser.
And it won't be working out as Santi does manage to trade it out, but the mirror, Duke, is there for it. Takes out the ace, goes back through the rotation, and expects it flick to the left, and takes the round yet again. A third one in a row, looking good for Pannuhuone. They're going to be taking it just like INF did earlier. It's a bit of a repeat, but these teams really like taking each other's maps. You know, Skyscraper, it was supposed to be Pannuhuone's pick, but it was INF's W. And now it's seeming like we're going towards a very similar direction, although this time Pannuhuone have secured a very good score before going into the second half of this match. 3-3 is completely balanced for Clubhouse. Any more extra rounds they get are just going to be that much better, but of course, you don't want to completely fumble when you'll be on the attack, so use these rounds while you can, make sure that they're worth it, and try to make as least mistakes. On the other hand, INF need to get some changes. You know, you really need to start adapting, because I have not seen a single bit of it since 3 rounds in a row went in a very similar fashion.
This is another aggressive peek coming
10
through.
seconds to insertion. Attackers have located a bomb.
Logi in hand. Nope, we're closing it off.
5 seconds left.
Maybe a little hold there.
Attackers
Let
are
it
heading
again,
out
another
to
similar
defuse the
lineup, but consistently we're seeing this lead for Jaeger over the Wamai, which I think is kind of just incorrect. I think Wamai would just be a little bit smoother here, but maybe you like the 416C, maybe you want a bulletproof camera. I'm sure there's reasons for it coming through. Early little sightline here for Sant. Waiting. What are you looking for, Santi?
He's holding it. He's patient. Maybe it's going to work out. Never hurts.
Maybe not.
Close.
Look to the left. Reach open.
What is the thought process behind this man?
I don't know. It's an interesting one.
It is. It's like catching a Rainbow Six Siege player in the wild. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Ooh. Shooting me, jammer. Love to see that. Enables drones.
Okay.
Another drone shot out, though.
Valid.
He's very fast.
All right.
Drop.
Hunter,
Natural predator. Looking
Natural
for its prey. No
They can
prey
fight
behind
back.
it.
They can fight back. It's all carnivores in this situation.
Reloading.
The pack is moving forward. They need to catch up with the rest of the herd.
The pack.
The gazelles have bunkered down on side of CCTV. They're waiting patiently.
Do remember, gazelles have a strong kick in this situation. Don't forget that.
Clear the blast area.
Also known as a nitro cell. That's in the pocket of the meat.
And a gun. Bullets,
Gun.
some may even say.
Well, that's how I've heard.
I say it's unusual, but I want to see it in action, honestly.
One last swing. Walks to the boy. Gets cut down! That's a heartbreaking single holding on the site for the verticality, Buffo! They get the refrag with Lift going down below.
Yeah, we gotta keep it down. Do keep that in mind, because another kill is dropped. Nike does manage to trade it out. The C4 makes its appearance, but in the meanwhile, INF take their first round. And, thankfully, we didn't scare the animals off. We kept silent, we're still in the bushes, and hopefully they don't spot us, because we'll be in a lot of trouble if they do.
It's important when observing nature that you keep your distance, and having kept the distance, we saw what INF were able to do with it.
Yeah.
A really good play from them. Getting around
Mhm.
that site, setting up the circulation of the herd, and then pouncing for that
Attackers
final
need to
kill.
locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
They completely isolated them from the majority of the pack. You know, you have these huge packs of gazelles, you take out 5, and you isolate them. You just start clawing at them. That worked out perfectly. Even though the gazelles do have guns in this situation, but it's like, you know, you two have guns. It's a great way of balancing out the game. But Yeah,
Gazelles with guns. There's surely something that can be done with that. Is that like
that is
a
an
band
invention.
name? Is that like some like adult animation TV
10
show?
seconds to go.
Oh,
Like,
that could
you
be
know,
valid.
like what's the llamas like YouTube
5 seconds
series
left before
where they
insertion.
eat everyone, where Carl eats everything?
Oh, I know which one you mean.
You can't eat people.
You can eat people.
Gazelles with guns is like the spiritual successor.
Yeah, for sure. Could be a season 2 to it.
Could be a season 2, a spin-off maybe.
Yeah, same universe, but just not llamas. But in the end, we're talking about something a bit more different here. We're talking about Siege players. And, you know, they're a bit more scarce to find. But my question is Santi gonna find himself this pick?
It's
It's the
another
main
round
camera.
where he's gone
Yeah.
in aggressively. Not going to be rewarded with a shot. Spray through the floor. Spray through the floor. Doesn't spray through the floor.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate. That would have been another very nice kill. We've seen a couple wall bangs come through today. They're fun to watch.
That would have been interesting. The floor bang would have been an absolute banger, some may say, to see. A bit of puns here and there, you know, bang and banger. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'll get back to work. As 3v1 is around the corner. 2 minutes. Bana going for those opens, trying to impact trick it, but one of the pellets goes off, which, you know, it's not that matters really, as the attackers have taken over top floor. Now they're just trying to get that utility, trying to get those lines of sight, and cut off the defenders from their defense, from their extensions.
We're on main stairs now as well. Again, sending this information forwards, but it's been shot out because you take that time to then set up the Claymore to prevent the re-aggression coming through from Pannu. Verticality being established for them as well to try and control the main corridor, but also pressure around the back
Attackers
armory.
recovered the diffuser.
Santi is able to get killed. I believe that was
Attackers
inside a
dropped the diffuser.
Moto. So still applying this pressure from main, who looks like they're lining up for the kitchen drop. Who's going to come through dirt? That's the next pressure point I want to see start getting pressed for INF. Because if they can find a way to overwhelm the lockers, like the AK's player with util, that's what opens up the window for them.
Most definitely. But again, this time around they changed it up. They brought the man advantage down to themselves, and in the last minute 45 even, 3 versus 5 brought on to Pannuhuone, looking quite desperate. The Malusi, the Warden trying to do it out on Church, but the flags will or should be making their appearance. Santi gets one. Traded out, Neepy on to Lumen. Now, one Church, one Armory. Nip finds himself one, but an instant double kill instantaneously dropped by the side of NNF, INF, NNF. We had ENF, we had NNF, and now we have INF. All 3 sorts of names, but the second round for INF, bringing it up a bit closer, and hopefully they'll be able to close it out on a 3-3, because in the end, it will be just, you know, balanced, as all things should be. But before they go to their defense, at 3-3 is something you want to secure, because if you manage to get that
Defenders, protect your
comfortability,
bombs
like
from
earlier on,
by
this
attackers.
video, you do want to make it as simple as possible for yourself. That, again, up to these players as we're going to the side of Master and Jim.
And it's our last attempt for Pannu on the defense. Jim, you know, we run it back. They were able to close it out before, right? So that's always a nice little positive that you have going in behind you. But INF really picking up the pacing, figured out how they want to start playing Siege again. This is kind of how every game's gone so
10
far.
seconds to
Takes a
insertion.
little bit of time for the attacks to load on in. INF obviously not
5
able to put
seconds
one
left.
together until round 3, or their third attacking round on Skyscraper.
objective
Doing
is
it
to locate
earlier
a bomb
this
and
time
defuse
is
it.
obviously a very good showing.
Definitely. Also seeing as the Monty was banned, it was mentioned earlier. What's the secondary option? Blitz being picked now. A bit more aggression brought on. We still have the Ash. A bit of Breach and Dokkaebi because, come on, this is very Breach-sided. The entire map is Breach-reliant. It's a lot more utility-focused than Borders, some may say, where it's all guns blazing. But the Blitz is always a supporting hand in taking out Cash, pushing through it, really getting up close and personal, because once he gets through that door, it could be game over for his defenders. A late round reinforce could be questionable, but they still go about it. And the Bandit putting down the batteries. It's all throughout the process as we go along. The Blitz showing himself, peeking around the corner. A bit of repel on the main breach right now on CC, as the defenders are holding it down quite strong and at the same time wasting quite a bit of time.
Cross on over. The Toxic Babe's being dropped to meet the smoke grenades coming out from the attack. So it stops them from pushing in, gives them time to evacuate. Still pressure on top red, still a player tucked in cash as well, as they're trying to get the Azami back on her feet. You can't go further in. Blitz going to try and cut off the retreat to the basement, but they've run through Lounge instead. As they're just escaping members and holding crossfires.
Doing exactly that. 3v3 is brought on. Thermite, low HP, not looking too present. Flashes do appear. Bandit is the victim of it. The Blitz makes his advance, and so does the Thermite, taking out one. That's E2. That's Cash. That's Construction. You don't have the diffuser on yourself, which is going to be a questionable and maybe even risky situation. In the meanwhile, Smoke gets caught lacking. 1v3, and now it's all down to the mirror. Juki, you got a double earlier, but can you repeat it? Tries to find the head of Blitz. Doesn't connect it. There's a metal plate covering it, and you're going to have a tough time going about it. C4 still on hand, does threaten himself with it, but won't be committing. Follows through and goes behind. The Blitz won't be expecting it, as he manages to flank the attacker. In the meanwhile, tries to change positions, tries to get in a spot that's going to be very undecisive. Very strong, but at the same time not to be expected, and tries to hold a lot of your positions to be safe. Now the diffuser is in hands, but we need to get it in. Or we need to get this mirror out of our way. And that's probably the possible way, the more probable way for a 2v1 to go through. They have some information where she could be, but I don't think it's too probable about her being in the bathroom. Now the plant could be getting stuck. Yokobi gets aggressive, tries to go for pre-fires, and opens up the Thermite, but in the meanwhile, will be swinging around the corner and taking the gunfight.
Big round to win as well as you pull it back to 3-3 at the end of the first half. That's your defensive end on Clubhouse, ending at a tie. I mean, look, no longer as one-sided as you'd expect. 3-3 becoming somewhat standard for the map. But still really good from INF to make sure they give themselves as best a shot coming into the second half. They get to come on the defense now. And I mean, it's not messing around with CCTV. I have to say, I respect when teams make it work. I think you just ignore it now. Honestly, I just think you don't bother going to it until you have to. And starting in church, it's the way to go. I think this basement is just the best site on the map, and the fact that you're not trying to get as many reps on, as many rounds on it as you can, maybe an oversight. Maybe an oversight.
Could be. There's also another probability that Lumen is going to be sticking to that Bosch G priority, sticking it to first place. It's his love with the slug shotgun, and hopefully he's going to be getting away with a couple of picks of his own. He has been in the previous map, but this is different times, different area you're sticking with, and hopefully it works out in your favor, as Panhouse will be bringing out the Blitz in the very early rounds. You know, INF, they brought it in the very last attacking round, and Pannuhuone, we're going to be going first one in, and JFK could be a bit of a threat, could be posing a bit of utility threat, being the captain that he is, as he gets a nice swing. One onto the Polish sledge. Actually, the Grim, as a second one coming on from his teammate, but in the meanwhile, maybe alongside with some more, instant double retrade, and the Finka now on 5 HP, but she does have a bit of boosts left, so could be getting some HP back, but that's not going to be too much to save you from a bullet.
Gets the cameras as well. Still Finka boosts in pocket. Obviously, though, it's only 25 HP at a time, so 55 HP max for the Finka. That's if you get both the charges. 20 HP now, sorry. So 45 max that you're looking for. Still not a lot. Nif leading the charge now. Stun's going over to try and clear the Azami off of the Keeper barricade, which they will do, but the Keeper's still there to fall back to if they want.
Still there. Could be a bit of Francis, bit of hard one to deal with. It's just completely blocking off Blue. In the meanwhile, takes off one. takes off a second alongside with JFK. Now the impacts, the nades, they're all being thrown around. But we're just trying to find this last Finca. We know where she is, but you're going to be holding her strong. Misses the shot, and that's going to be an opening for Single to take it. And Ready to Mingle gets the 4th round for the 3 score. And it seems like INF right now are going to be taking the score advantage.
Very happy for them to keep playing aggressively if they want to. And again, Panu tried to play quick and aggressive, but couldn't create that opening that they needed to offset the advantage. Again, when you're playing for a rush, you're playing a numbers round. You want to put more of you than the opponent you're trying to engage with. And they weren't really
Defenders,
able to do
protect your
that.
bombs from
The way that
being used
INF
by
can set
attackers.
themselves up, very easy for them to fall back, get back down onto basement and set up crossfires, which limits the capabilities of a rush play. Really well responded to by INF. And it meant that Panu just couldn't get that opening. And when you can't get an opening, when you can't find your way in on a rush play, you're going to stall. And then you find you don't have the utility set up to go for a normal sort of open up the breaches style and take. They couldn't play around hatch game. They couldn't play around pressure towards mainstairs in this split approach. Very well read into by INF.
Most definitely.
10 seconds
Starting
left.
to get a bit more of the hang of it. Now they're in their strong area, their zone.
5
On
seconds
their
remaining.
defense, and this is where they prove to be a bit more of a difficult situation to stick
Attacker's
around with
objective is
when
to
on
defuse the
the
bomb.
attacking side or on the opposing side. Pannuhuone, earlier, you were the ones who ended up going defense. Situation is now on you. You're on the attack, which you did early very poorly. And now you're back on it again. INF is in the lead, they're on the defense, and you're already in the second half. Could be just a bit of a worry. But hopefully these players won't be going about it just too much. Early Hibana pellets just to take out the castles, just apply some shadow pressure. You know, you never want to be too careful around these windows, especially when these attackers are just lurking around the outside. And trying to take cash from the outside, playing off of the so-called windows, could also be a bit of a mistake. In the end, the defenders could be using it against them, as they're just slowly making their progression. But INF not really playing cash or construction, just turtling in sight.
Wait to see what happens now. The drone comes through, spots out all the beavers. Santi, bro!
Oh,
Not again, man. INF are on form with these wallbangs.
Attackers recover.
Yeah, another one. That's the 3rd we've seen today, right? Obviously, Meepy got one. Huna got one. And now Santi joins the roster. That's a great opening pick as well. You take down the Ash. These Keybers are going to be a lot longer lasting. You have the Kairos and Habana that can get rid of them. But you'll lose a Thermite as well. That makes opening up breaches near impossible. You've only got 12 X-Kairos left. If you want to deal with Keybers and breaches, you're just going to run out. What's the approach? Maverick, careful of pressure from the windows. There's so many people looking out at them. The phone call comes through from the Dokkaebi. That's the final one for the round as well. Just over a minute left on the clock. But so little pressure coming into INF.
so a little pressure, but in the meanwhile, E2 does manage to get it a bit more. Now the attack, playing off of the so-called shadow pressure, really trying to get it out. They're really trying to lack any type of rotation that they can cut off. In the meanwhile, they have made advancements towards destruction, and they're just trying to find themselves a kill or two. Really wasting their time, but at the same time being careful about it. Not too bad. The ping is on one of the players,
Oh.
but the bullets just won't be connecting. He's safe and sound, and he's wasting their time dearly. 10 seconds already by, and you need to get yourselves inside. BP gets it off with one. That's the bathroom player now off the board. There's still more to go through. You know there's someone on Jim, and he's taken out the same second. E2 gets one. Meepy, in the meanwhile, gets traded out. 2v2 brought on by Single. Now, Hunter, he is still behind that mirror. He still has a lot of contention around. He's going to have to go through quite a bit of attack. The plant goes down. Single throws the C4 and doesn't take him out. In the meanwhile, it's going to be the UMP-45 dealing the damage as E2 doesn't find himself the time nor the space to finish the job. And another round, yet another one, bites dust as it's 5-3, I believe, for INF.
So many big moments in that round that could have enabled it to swing either way. Obviously, INF off to a fantastic start over on the cash side. The wallbang kill just spectacular. But the rest of that all comes together for them. they're slowing down the approach. They're able to get down the thermite as well, so you can no longer play for these breaches. You're forced to go for a construction, use the
Attackers
windows
need to
from
locate
highway
and
to try and
defuse
get
bombs.
into sight. And they've got the mirror window in Vault, just looking out, ready for it. That's what enables the kill onto the Maverick, who, to their credit, able to work their way all the way to the gym bars. But the cover drops for a second because Dokubi has 2, 3, 4 different spots that you're supposed to be watching to enable Maverick to plant. And you're half a second late to catch up the castle. You get the injure, but he stopped your planter, and that puts time against you. That's what enables the mirror to wait out the round. Really nicely done by both teams in that round, in fairness. Pannu got on the start, how they adapted to their losses,
5 seconds to go.
try and salvage the round. Really nicely done. INF constantly having a really good read on what the win condition from Pannu is, and they're avoiding it so gracefully.
So gracefully indeed. They have so much opportunities, yet they don't seem to take them. That tradition has been going on for one map, not only one, the second one as well. Round 9 is around the corner. INF, you take this, you're back to the same score as you were earlier. On match point, 6-3, one more, and you're going to have a 7-3 repeat. In the meanwhile, INF being cornered, the Legion just trying to hold it through, and Flash is coming out. The Ace takes it and swings for the Legion. Maybe is going to get himself one. That's Sanity off the board. Garage pressure now off. A lot more than it was earlier, as Lumen is left to hold it all down. Purely just with his utility and gun alone. As in the meanwhile, defenders are trying to spread out. They're trying to not let anything slip by. Red is contested. Bandit is low. Azami just sticking by. But as all goes through, these attackers are just slowly making their way through and hopefully punishing more as they go along the way.
Tiny little angle
Attackers
set up
recovered the
underneath the
bomb
Kiva, just
Attackers have
watching
dropped the bomb.
patiently. It's shot away, but Lumen doesn't have to move too far. Eventually will, but it's Meepy takes down JFK, so we're finding our Wamai left on more and more of an island. The Azami rotating down from red to lend support, to lend aid, and what a shot onto Hunter. E2 goes down, rushing into breach. Lumen turns for a second as well. They're holding the line in spite of all the odds.
What was that shot? Groundbreaking it was, let me tell you, as a 3-3 brought on from absolute nowhere. Now Garage a bit back more into control.
Attackers have recovered their
Smoke
diffuser.
still one canister on hand. Umaya is just throwing his discs left and right. No nades are going to be approaching his position as of now. As he tries to back off, but completely cornered. He walks into the bullets from main breach, not being aware that Nike is on his left, and now the windows are played. Cash is contested by INF, but CCTV completely taken over. As in the meanwhile, they're going to be rotating, and Plant is going to be going over for default. Smoke canister, Babe, still around the corner. Could be saving it for that. Hopefully he doesn't get shot out. Almost brings it out. There it is. And detonate. A bad one of that as a double kill from INF drops from nowhere. Complete carelessness as INF is now in a 1v2 situation. INF looking quite
15
strong.
seconds left.
Smoke is getting distracted. The canister loses its power. And the smoke is there with more as the SMG-11 comes swinging around the corner. And 6-3. Skyscraper is just a repeat, Golu. What is happening?
It's again not able to close out attacks in the last 30 seconds. We're in a position 3 versus 2. You get the Wamai because Lumen missteps, forgets about the pressure coming in from breach. If he doesn't die, by the way, that round looks even more cursed. Because you try and push in breach, that's being watched by 2 teammates. You walk up rafter stairs because that's all you have left at this
Attackers
point.
need
All
to locate
utility
and
is drained
defuse
out.
as many bombs
It's
as they
unfortunate they couldn't hold on, just tuck into the corner for a little bit longer. But Pannu, who I want to give that credit to, you know, oh, they got that kill, they quickly moved up for the rafters. Well, they did. They did rotate off as well, off of CC window, but I almost feel like that's what you need. Have a breach pressure, have server window, have someone come up rafters and try and force your way in from multiple angles where they're not going to watch everything at the same time. They can't challenge your rafters 90 if they're also challenging CC window. You can't challenge Garage Window. If you're also challenging Garage
10 seconds
3,
left.
you set up opportunities for these little 2 versus 1 exchanges to make sure you
5
keep
seconds
that
left
2v2
before
advantage. INF given small windows to get those
Attackers'
kills.
objective
They
is to
cut
locate a
down
bomb
both
and
players
defuse
walking
it.
into the breach, and that left open the open.
Attackers have dropped the bomb
Look
diffuser.
at me all alone. And Grim as well now. Off the board. Early pick, a spawn peek. Successful on that. And to put salt on the wound, INF are playing not only Banji, which, okay, Lumen do quite well with it, but Santi bringing out the Caveira, which in competitive and high ranks is known to not be the strongest of operators, to say the least. Hopefully an
Attackers will
interrogation
cover
won't
the
be
diffuser.
happening because that's just going to ruin my mood more. Well, it's actually going to brighten it. The players won't be too happy about it. Abaji shows itself. In the meanwhile, completely cut off the same second. Refract for his lovely Vol and Hibana, but that's the hard breacher. That's the hatches being opened. Gone. You don't have the can openers on the puck. You don't have secondaries, and the impact TMPs won't be doing you any good on Hibana. Don't challenge. It's
Just back away.
please.
Look, you killed the Habana. Take the 3-round win.
Reload!
We're looking at a situation where you're now forced to come down basically 1 of 2 staircases. You can push for blue, you can push for main stairs. I don't think they have dirt open, by the way, because the second that hard breach charges, we're on the pocket of the Grim. That's not going to stop them from pushing down and getting a kill. Challenging on the back staircase. The Caveira gets the injure with the pistol, sees it off with the hip fire from the SMG to close off the game. A 7-3 victory, a 2-0 sweep for INF. They are your 3rd place team in Talent League Season 11.
Third place in 2 maps in a row out of the BO3 is all they needed. 7-3 is going to be the score we're going to be looking at for both of them as INF take the W. Now, an absolutely fantastic performance, although while bringing out some comedy. You love this. You love the Baji, you know. You love the poor Capcan behind the Baji player getting randomly wallbanged on Skyscraper.
So
and
good.
you love the Caveira. Overall, just completely fantastic. Now, Pannuhuone, of course, mistakes were there. You were punished for it, and you lost. Well attempted, a good attempt in the end. But there can only be one winner in this situation, and that's going to be INF today. That's going to be, the 3rd and 4th decided. And well played from both of these teams. In the end, it was fantastic. It was a BO2. Sadly, we didn't end up going to Chalet, which a bit of sadness from my side. I do enjoy a bit of Chalet every now and then. Is a map you really can't go wrong with. But what about you, Golo? Did you enjoy that?
I had a great time. I think that was a really good game. Both teams had their ups and downs, right? And ultimately, the team at the end of the day that came on top, INF, were just the team that was more consistently able to figure out their opponent and adapt around that. And I think you're coming into a series for Siege, especially longer series, a best of 3, best of 5s. That's what makes the game so special, is that during map innovation and changes that you can make, INF being able to do that, really big for them, really nice to see, and I'm very happy for them. They've won out here. I think they definitely were the better team today. They've been rewarded for that consistently throughout these 2 maps. Congratulations.
Well played. But I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Now, for tomorrow's match, it may be cancelled. It may be not. We're not too sure about it. Of course, that's all going to be announced.
It won't be cancelled.
Okay, not cancelled. Yeah, it's
Postponed.
postponed. Exactly.
In all transparency, we want to keep things real with you. There's the qualifiers, obviously, the qualifiers that are running for like the majory stuff, and unfortunately it's overlapped, and there's not a whole lot that can be done considering this was set months ago. So we're playing it by ear. We will keep people updated. Check the Talent League Twitter for that. But that is going to be owned versus Psychopathus.
Oh,
So that's a pretty spicy game.
definitely.
That's a pretty hot game. You got the team that crept up into is Psychopathus Falca? Is that what they became?
I think so. Yeah.
So it's first or second from the Masters division. Pretty spicy game there. They had a pretty good game against the other in the regular season. So there's some excitement to be had for sure. Getting ready for this last game. that is going to be our grand final. That's also a best of 5, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully that's
Yes.
tomorrow.
Hopefully. I'm really excited.
We're very excited.
True.
But I guess we'll find out and keep you all posted. Check the Talent League Twitter for more information coming. The grand final is on its way. You will not want to miss it. A best of 5 between the first and second seeds from Master Division. You know it's going to be an all-timer.
Whew.
I've been Golden Molu. I've been joined by Puffo Bob. We've had Nanos on the observing and producing the absolute beast. Have yourselves a lovely evening. We will catch you next time for the Season 11 Grand Final of Talent League. Have a smashing evening.